Alright guys, welcome back to, another Crossout video. So, today, don't even know who this guy is, we're going to be talking about the plant balance changes. I gotta quotation this, but balance changes. Just so funny enough that they are what they are. So, I have a big beef with what they're doing, and not necessarily what they're doing, but one specific part, and it is these Garrity legs. In the previous, if you go back in my old videos, they literally talked about nerfing the tonnage on these parts, and they did so, and they didn't want to change basically the speed because it would affect the direct usability of the leg and the whole point of the leg. And I was like, okay, well that's fair. So they knocked tonnage 200 points, and now, which we'll be going over here shortly, they are directly attacking the fact that these are fast, mobile, and everybody is currently using them, which is really irritating. It's always so satisfying to blow these guys up. But we're not going to do that. He gets to live. Go straight into it here. So, here we go. It's a long list of things, too. It's definitely going to be flip-flopping everything, and hopefully better ways than others. I don't necessarily love the balance changes, but there are some great things in there. But to each their own, you know, we all use different weapons and legs and movement parts and whatever, but I'm not a huge fan so far. Alright, anyway, so getting right into this, so planned balance changes, and this is going to be coming, well, let's just see if they actually have a date. Okay, maybe it's down here somewhere. This is test servers. So I'm assuming it's going to come out at the end of the Sky Raiders Pass, which is in like 2 weeks. Maybe. Or even a week from now. But they haven't dropped anything on us for the new Hyperbora Pass. So even though they said they would every week, and we still haven't seen anything for 2 weeks now. That's why I haven't made a video. And I was going to make a video and run it with this, the planned balance changes, but I didn't end up doing that because they didn't drop any information. So I was like, well, I guess this in itself is going to be enough because there's a lot. But anyway guys, so today we'd like to share with you a full list of balance changes that are currently planned for the next major update. So yeah, with the Hyperbora, because that'll be a major update, along with the new season. At the end of the week, we will launch a special test server that we can try out these changes and share your feedback with the impressions. Oh, feedback and impressions. Please note that in-game text strings and descriptions will be updated on the test server. All relevant information is presented in this news. So as we know of, all of this is current information. This is what they're going to be doing. Vice versa. So, yeah. Anyway, movement parts. Let's get into it here. Interaction of hovers with other movement parts. Now the flight altitude of hovers is reduced when there are movement parts used with them, which makes sense. Mechanical legs are now included in a separate group of the highest movement parts, not including rotors when recalculating tonnage. Comment, it says with both adjustments, the cars with mechanical legs will get extra tonnage from the mounted hovers only if they have low enough or are low enough above the surface. And in this, wow, maybe I'm just struggling today. And not in any case, as this has always been the case with the combination of legs and hovers. This way, we will make sure that the tonnage of all vehicles is provided by the main movement parts. Changes in controls of tracks, rolling base movement parts, and augers. So for all tracks, rolling base movement parts, and augers, so what they did here says reduce friction parameters, increase maneuverability of vehicles with these movement parts, change the speed of rotation on the spot, added the ability to quickly switch the rotation or to rotation of these movement parts. Previously it was only available after the vehicle had come to a complete stop. To do this, you need to completely release the gas and press the turn key and then they improve the suspension of it. Wheel power score. Now the power score of all wheels from common to special rarities is common light 40, common medium 50, rare light 60, rare medium 70, rare heavy is 80, special light is 80, special medium is 90, and special heavy is 100. It says here, comment, the power scores of the wheels were brought to a single format to simplify their further balancing into exclude illogical situations such as the same power score value of a rare large wheel and a special double wheel. So here, update the parameters of resistance to various types of damages for structural parts. So this is resistances according to damage types. There's a good table here. Just kind of shows you. I'll just leave it here for a second so you could read it. But it looks like, so that's previously, looks like a lot of stuff is actually getting nerfed quite a bit. I mean, all these parts from that have bullet resistance are now like a fraction of what they used to be. Like Steppenwolves goes from 15 to 5, Scavengers 15 to 5, Founders 20 to 10, Hyperbora 35 to 15, Syndicate 30 to 10, Nomads 30 to 10, Engineers 20 to 10, Firestarters 10 to 5. So your vehicle is essentially going to be falling apart much faster because it's less resistant. I mean, everything it looks like. I mean, I'm looking at explosive here, so here we go again with Firestarters. 10 to 5 resistance. Engineers 20 to 10 resistance. Nomads 15 to 5 resistance. So these big heavy builds are not going to be as big heavy as you remember them. Founders 20 to 10. Scavengers 35 to 15. Steppenwolves 35 to 15. Thermal, so fire weapons. So this is 20 to 15. 15 to 5. 15 to 5. 40 to 10. Holy God. Dawn's Children went from 40 resistance to 10. Hyperbora 15 to 5, Founders 15 to 0. Wow. Then we move over to energy weapons. So Dawn's Children and Syndicate, being kind of the king of the energy weapons, are now 30 to 10 and 50 to 15. Wow. Dawn's Children's taking a massive smack to the face. What parts are these in updated parameters? It just says various. It doesn't say which parts. Dang. So it's right here. Lightweight parts are now the best durability to mass ratio. The heavier the faction parts are, the lower the ratio is. We'd like to correct the situation in an indirect way because the same ratio can either severely weaken vehicles with primarily light parts or conversely greatly strengthen heavy builds. So you're telling me the lightweight parts are the best parts to use. And if you use heavy parts, you're essentially screwing yourself. Says here, now the heavier the faction, the higher the damage resistance values of its parts. This way, lightweight parts have good ratio of durability and a bonus to cabin durability to mass and approximately the same survivability against different types of damage. Heavy parts, on the other hand, have a lower durability to mass ratio, but will be better chance against different types of damage. But like what? None of this. If this is like, I don't know if this table is supposed to like be. Sorry, I don't know if this table is supposed to be correlating with heavy parts, light parts, all the parts in the faction, bumpers, because I know bumpers have like impact resistance or like shoot through resistance and stuff like that. Bullet pass through. It's kind of vague. Anyway, changes in parameters of parts and co-drivers. So Laplora, damage reduced by 15%. Comment: the efficiency of this weapon is too high for the power score indicator. The shotgun was almost identical to the sledgehammer in terms of damage dealt. Ammo pack and expanded ammo packs. Now ammo packs don't increase the amount of fuel and boosters with the next update. That stinks. Icarus 7s. Increased inertia when turning. Speed has yet again been reduced from 90 to 85. So another nerf to hovers. Increased inertia when turning. So I mean basically like if you start turning your build and it's got a lot of momentum, it's going to overturn and then correct itself. It's not just going to be like bam for all you guys with fused hovers who are pew, 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 all over the place. That's not going to be a thing anymore because they're going to be using momentum and inertia to combat that. It says here, to increase the inertia should reduce the turning sharpness and make the vehicle with hovers more difficult to control. So they're trying to kill the hover meta. Reducing speed of Icarus 7 is aimed at making the other epic movement parts more competitive against them. Damn. As if it wasn't a direct attack. Alrighty here, Gyardia 1. So this is my personal attack. I'm half tempted to go back to the previous update notes just to show you guys because I did make a video on obviously all the update notes, but they did not want to reduce the speed right here, right there. Oh wow, the trigger zoom in. Okay, look at that. So speed reduced from 70 to 65, and that's one of the things that they directly said, we aren't going to touch this because it's going to directly attack the use of the part. Here we are. Reduce the surface grip. That's kind of crappy. So if you have a 100-ton spider and 30-ton breaker build comes and runs into you, he's going to be able to push you. Same with like a hover or a dog. Now the car with these, it says now the car with these legs has become easier to push. Inertia increased when turning. Durability reduced from 450 to 410. So anybody who uses these things, which is just about everybody in a higher power score, knows that Scorps, Punnies, Helios kids, most of them, Porks, any of that stuff, these legs are going to be as good as gone. So if you don't fuse these for durability to reach that 450, essentially you're going to be sitting on a nerfed pair of legs. And then if you use the Colossus, you'll get that 20% durability on top of that. So you're now almost peaking back up to 500 durability. The inertia when turning, I mean, it seems like they're trying to, you know, dethrone a lot of these parts that have been on the top for a while. But you'll see why I say that, because it's very evident later on. Anyway, it says Gyarados have completely replaced the other legs and currently are the strongest movement parts. Well, yeah, nobody uses ML200s because they're slower than crap. You got rid of the Steppy Spider cab, so now we don't get a boost to movement speed on the ML200. So who the hell uses that? Nobody wants to move it 50 to 45 kilometers on a map. And then freaking big rams, they're so damn tall that half the time you're rolling on them, you try to build anything on them, and if it's not a punny or something else, you just can't shoot down on stuff. And breakers and dogs and all that can get underneath you because they're so tall. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like both of them, and I have a healthy set of both, but I don't know. The Gyarados are they're just ideal. It says these changes as well as corrections to the interaction of legs and hovers on the same car should help correct the situation and bring the effectiveness of those legs up to expected level. What? Bring the effectiveness up. How are you going to bring the effectiveness up of something that was completely the strongest movement part in the game? Like to see how that goes. Anyway, directly to the other legs. So they're trying to push these guys back into play. Durability for the ML200s is increased from 750 to 790. You know, they should have just left the durability and made the legs go like, honestly, like 55 or something. Because that's the direct reason that nobody uses ML200s, is they're beyond slow. Fast hover guys can just buzz around you, strip your guns off. Dog teams that are really quick can get on your sides or your backside, burn you out. I mean, there's many reasons why nobody uses ML200s. They are awesome. Don't get me wrong. Like, if I could use them, I would. But they're just so slow. And right now's current meta, everything is so fast-paced. You're defeating yourself by using them. Okay. Anyway, big rams. Durability increased from 600 to 660. Added a 25% resistance to explosive damage perk, which is pretty cool. But they're still incredibly easy to shoot off with Scorps, Typhoons, anything that's ranged or just accurate enough to hit an individual leg is going to peel these puppies off just like they do in every game I play with them in. There's, I mean, I don't. If I see like a Bastion Spider running Reapers, I'm going to shoot his legs off. I'm going to be honest. I'll shoot his legs off before I even shoot his guns or his cabin because the Bastion has a damage resistance. It's just crazy. Comment, relative to the already mentioned Gyarados, ML200s and Big Rams demonstrated low own survivability and were often destroyed in battle, which we aim to correct. Which it's just not enough. I mean, the perk is going to be great, don't get me wrong, but I mean, when do you ever get your leg shot out by a cannon player? At least in my experience, that's not been the case. It's always Scorps or Punnies or Helios, kids running Aari. Anyway, Atom Wheels, power penalty reduced from 17 to 15%. Says, comment, the change in this small bonus to the changes to the control physics of the number of movement parts described above. Bigfoots are now going to be extremely tanky again, so we might start seeing 12 Bigfoot freaking monster builds. Durability increased from 565 to 730. Mass increase from 280 to 350, which is crazy. Says, comment, the change is designed to increase the rather low survivability of wheels. We significantly increase the durability of Bigfoots in exchange for making them noticeably heavier. We'd like the heavy and large wheel to be durable and playable on more than just fast cars. I don't know. Omni Wheel, another thing that they have absolutely just poked and prodded. The Omni Wheel is yet again facing a buff. The last one was a nerf to him. So, power score increased from 250 to 300. Comment, the reason for increasing the power score is the efficiency of the movement parts is too high for the battles at 4 to 7,000 power score. Huh. Seal covers. Excuse me. Huh. Small track. So, I mean, this is what I'm all for because I fuse my small tracks. Speed increased from 90 to 95. So that's going to be like dog quality with the Eagle engine. I mean, I'll be going 105. That's pretty great. Power penalty reduced from 12 to 9%. Reinforced track. Maximum speed increased from 75 to 80. Power penalty reduced from 22 to 17%. Sleipnir tracks. Speed increased from 80 to 85. Power penalty reduced from 20 to 15%. Armored track. Speed increased from 65 to 70. Power penalty reduced from 40 to 30%. Tank tracks. So maximum speed increased from 60 to 65. Power penalty reduced from 55% to 42%. Goliath tracks. Maximum speed increased from 55 to 60. Power penalty reduced from 70 to 55%. So this is what I was talking about by them trying to flip-flop the whole, I guess, meta in a sense. It says, comment on all tracks. Isn't the least popular class of the movement parts. The change is additional to the, what the f is that word? Aforementioned physics and control changes, which are designed to increase the dynamics of tracks. Which, personally, I mean, maybe in PvP these will still be viable, but not in Clan Wars, I don't think. I mean, I think hovers and movement speed is still going to be the king of, you know, this kind of stuff. I mean, the problem with like tracks that I've forever had, and I love tracks and I have every single track in the game, but is the fact that they are directional. You cannot, you know, unless you have the meat grinders or augers now they call them, you can't strafe, and that's a big problem with them. So people who are on hovers or legs can just walk around you and do donuts, and you just really can't do anything about it, and your guns are usually directional at that point. Anyway, Catalina, so we're getting another nerf buff to them. Reduces the damage of all mounted weapons by 15% instead of 17% previously. As damage is dealt with any weapon, the weapon's maximum damage increases by 7% instead of 8%. The perk's effect stacks no more than once every 4.5 seconds instead of 4 seconds previously. So those of you who run Punny Akari anything, the Catalina obviously will not stack. It'll basically stack once per bolt, so it's not going to be the same anymore, which isn't bad. I honestly, I mean, I don't know how much more they're going to try to deter people from using the Catalina, but it's a cabin that's here to stay, and it's definitely a fan favorite by, geez, everybody at this point. Anyway, comment, the high efficiency of the versatility of the perk. Now the damage of the weapon will be higher than before, but only the movement part, but only up to the movement when 3 stack of the perk are accumulated. So you have to have a 3 stack to basically do your base damage or a little bit above. Up to the movement when the bonus is summarized 3 times. After that, the overall damage will be lower relative to than what it was before the change. Also, the bonus damage accumulation will take longer. Blight. Alright, Morty. This one's for you, pal. The perk now also adds 0.5% to the parts heat level. So, parts heat up faster, which is pretty cool. As they should when you have a blowtorch style weapon burning the living crap out of your build. It should be red hot. The distance required to charge the perk is now reduced from 500 to 300 meters, so they went back to that. They nerfed it to the 500 because dog teams were extremely effective. Perk damage bonus reduced from 35 to 20%, which is pretty great. I think dog teams are very overpowered, and they're extremely over effective when it comes to, like, you know, unless you're running like solid hammerfall breaker teams. I find that it's difficult to counter the Draco dogs, especially when somebody's a half decent driver. Comment, this With this change, we would like to remove the cabin's status as a non-alternative cabin for flamethrowers, largely due to its high bonus to fire damage. In return, the perk now additionally increases the heating of parts. Please note that 0.5% to heating level means that if the flamethrower heats a part by 0.5% for a single infliction of damage, it will heat by 1% the same amount time under the effect of the blight perk. We also have increased the damage of flamethrowers so that their damage remains the same when affected by the cabin's perk. So basically they made it to where the blight is not so flamethrower dog teams are not so reliant on the blight cabin. Added the perk, so this is the Cerberus, so this is something you've been, if you play Clan Wars often and you're around silver. Added perk, while the cabin's built-in melee weapon is active, which it's always active, the damage of the other saws mounted to the vehicle's cars increased by 25%. So Lacerator, Mauler, Harvester, Buzzsaw, all those are going to be that much more effective with the Cerberus. And if you guys remember a couple updates ago, the Harvester received a fat buff. Did not make it viable in a sense, just because it's just a big unit and it's super easy to shoot off, and a lot of the times it gets clipped on structures or ground terrain, and it causes you to come to a complete halt and then have to try to recover from that while being beamed by probably a dog or a hover or something. So Lacerators and Maulers are going to be kind of the key point with this build. Comment: before the change, the cabin actually didn't have its own perk. With this change to the Cerberus, we would like to increase its demand, which has remained low for a long time. And it has. Icebox, so this is one I'm also kind of excited about. Increase the damage for bonus weapons with the limited angles from 15 to 20%. So tacklers, tsunamis, typhoons, porks, vindicators, directional machine guns, leeches, gremlins. All of this is... Oh, my computer shut off. All this is in that category of directional. Added 40% bonus to rotation speed of such weapons. So, I mean, for those with limited firing angles, I mean, it's going to turn 40% faster and be more responsive, which is pretty cool. This is going to be really awesome. It's going to be pretty gnarly. Comment: the cabin's damage demand among the players is low. Increasing the rotation speed will make the player, or make playing with the weapons with limited angles more comfortable. The Hunin, whatever. Power reduced by 9%. Mass increased from 2202 to 2720. Mass limit increased from 17 to 17.6. Previous parameters of the Hugin allowed to build vehicles on its base that were too mobile and durable for relatively low power score indicators. Yokai, so these guys are coming back. They had received a blast damage nerf a long time ago and a overall damage nerf. But damage increased by 12%. Those guys used to be killer in PvP. You could frame out hovers all day long and it was a lot of fun to use them. I've used mine a long time ago during the Syndicate Battle Pass, and then they nerfed them and I pretty much never used them again because they were just ineffective. Comment: in the current realities, Yokai loses to other epic weapons. Yeah, that's because you're not supposed to hit your enemy with it, you're supposed to splash them. So, increasing the weapon damage will increase its attractiveness and effectiveness. We'll see. It probably will. Quasar. So this is kind of something I'm excited about, is Quasar and Pulsar. So our energy cannons that have been very long neglected. Added hit damage for 65 points and 50% penetration. Before, they did not have penetration value at all. They would hit, explode, and do some damage. Like, they did good damage, but the penetration was killer. Durability increased from 535 to 578. Comment: adding hit damage will help ensure consistency in damage dealt and increases the effectiveness of the plasma cannon, which is pretty cool. Aari. So a lot of people will think that this is a nerf to the Aari. It is, but it's still the same weapon in the sense that what it does. I'll just go ahead and read this. The effect of the perk now deals damage to only structural parts. Damage increased from 0.6% to 1.2%. per tick. The damage, or the durability of the part after which the damage stops being dealt, has been reduced to 25% instead of 10%. Comment: Aari is an extremely effective weapon and is fairly simple to use. After the changes, the ballista will remain effective against strong vehicles in terms of armor weakening, but will no longer affect the important parts such as cabins, modules, movement parts, and weapons. So, a lot of people are like, wah, Aari nerf. Like, This is good in the sense that we won't be seeing as much punny Akari, toadfish Akari, a lot of those nuisance builds that people are really just their nuisance with. I mean, they're a great build, don't get me wrong, and they're very effective. But basically what they're doing is they're increasing the part damage. So it was 0.6%, now it is 1.2, which is awesome for Akari users. And then basically, so it used to drain the parts down to 10%, and now it'll stop at 25% due to the rate at which it drops them. So now your parts will never go below 25%. So I mean, in a way, it's still affecting the vehicle's durability because, you know, say a part has 435 durability and then you shoot it with the Akari 3 times, now it is down to 25% of that 435 durability rather than it being 435 durability. And that goes for every single part on the build. So I mean, just because it doesn't affect wheels and all that stuff, it doesn't mean, you know, parts are directly the durability of the build. So to each their own. I still think it's going to be a good weapon. Pyres. Wow, why? Why are we nerfing Pyres? They like never get used. Pyre, reduce the optimal distance to 200 meters. Comment, the change should reduce the effectiveness of the rocket launcher in modes with armored aircraft, where battles take place at long distances. It was announced before that Rise of the Machines update, but was postponed due to technical reasons. What's technical about reducing the effective range? That's whack. People want to complain about helicopter fights taking distance. Like, most real-life helicopter attacks are not point blank. You know, it's not War Thunder. You're not going to machine gun down the helicopter next to you. That's unlikely. That's not what helicopters are built to do nowadays. But anyway, remedy. So here's the remedy increase. So damage increased by 13%, which is going to be awesome. Comment, the damage of the flamethrowers has been increased due to the changes applied to the Blight cabin. The flock. What the? So it says durability reduced from 105 to 41. Added 65% resistance to explosive damage. Ammunition increased from 50 to 70. Active range increased from 90 to 12 meters. Comment, it's no secret that the flock is more often used not for its intended purpose, but as a good option for armoring a vehicle. With these changes, we increase the effectiveness amongst homing rockets, but remove its armor status from the part we intended for it to be the first place. Theis, damage increased by 8%. The number of charges increased from 7 to 10. This is a dead weapon. This is probably never going to get used except for beach bobs and new players who are still buying the battle pass or buying it because it is a cheap legendary. Its overall size, the fact that it's 12 energy, it's like a crappy kaiju. And the kaiju is great if you're a good player, but the Theis is just, it's not a legendary weapon. It's an epic at best. And it's almost never seen in high power score unless you get people who are bobs and they're like, oh, I'm building a big power score build. You know, and they come up there with all these guys with meta quality stuff and they're on Goliath tracks with a cohort with a Theis and an ammo pack, which none of those correlate. But that's just me kind of hating. To each their own. I think the Theis is donk, but you know, whatever. Starfall. These are awesome weapons. I love them a lot, and I'm glad I got a pair from the battle pass. Damage increased by 10%, so that's pretty cool. Durability increased from 608 to 652, so not a huge jump in durability, but every little bit helps. They're kind of like cyclones in a sense. The damage is going to be cool. Comment, the changes to the Theis and Starfall are being made due to the lack of effectiveness compared to other weapons in the legendary rarity. That's not going to help the Theis. It's a dog water weapon. It's just not good. B12 Dove. So this is basically like the legendary mine layer. Energy reduced from 7 to 6 points, which is, God, it shouldn't even be 6 points. It should be 5. Power score reduced from 28 to 24. Damage increased by 25%. Definitely need that. Comment, initially the mine layer was rather highly specialized weapon that should not be effective at all times, but even in the situation for which it was designed, its performance left much to be desired. RA1 Heathers, so purple beams, here you are, man. Cooldown increased from 10 to 16 seconds. Oh, cooldown increased. Oh boy, okay. Projectile speed reduced by 10%. Damn, never mind, my bad, beams. This is a nerf to you. Comment, Heathers is significantly more effective than the Mandrake, which is its closest analog to the same rarity. Yeah, Mandrakes suck. And I have them. Mandrakes, reload time reduced from 1 second to 0.3 seconds. So you're going to be able to fire a lot more often in between shots. Comment, this will improve the usability of the magic. Reloading now takes the same amount as using the heather. Okay. Assembler. This is another dead weapon that you rarely see anywhere but on bots. Charging time reduced from 2 seconds to 1 second. Reload time increased from 0.2 seconds to 1.45 seconds. Comment, the changes will make playing the assembler more comfortable and the same time will not affect the damage per second. Those aren't really, you know, massive changes. They honestly should have like a rate of fire, or not a rate of fire, but basically a damage buff and even a rate of fire would be better. Anyway, Pulsar. So here's our other legendary energy cannon. Added hit damage, 78 points. And 50% penetration. Durability increased from 693 to 748, as they are a large target. Comment, these changes are similar to the changes of the Quasar. Yes, they are. Missiles. Here we are again. Hurricane. Optimal range reduced by 200 meters. Comment, similar to changes of the Pyre. Draco. Here we are with one of our flamethrower weapons they had mentioned. Draco damage increased by 13%. That's going to be a rough one. For all you guys who like playing silver and gold, be prepared. Dracos are going to jump up in the market like 8,000 coin and also be highly prioritized and sought after. Yeah, I don't know. I think Dracos are already pretty freaking badass. So the fact that they're going to go ahead and give them another nerf just kind of like is a head scratcher for me. But whatever. Yokozuna. Speed increased from 65 to 67. Mass reduced from 45 to 35. That's pretty cool. Comment, the Yokozuna is far from one of the most popular legendary cabins. With these changes, we developed the original idea of the cabin's durability and relatively fast, heavy vehicles. Firebug. Here's our relic fire weapon. Damage increased by 13%. Comment, the damage of flamethrowers has increased due to the Blight cabin. Co-driver Grizzly. The talent is now activated after 2 hits of the cabin instead of 3 hits to the parts that the vehicle previously. The effect lasts 6 seconds instead of 4 seconds. I don't want to read that. Whatever. What do we have for time? No, I'm not reading that. How to get the test server. Okay, so if you want to go to the test server, guys, to play all these notes, if you go to Crossout, go to the news, go to this link. If you click on this, it will take you to how you apply for the test server, and you can be able to, you know, test all this stuff out, leave your feedback through Gaijin and all that stuff, and this and that. And, just goof around with basically unlimited parts, because when you have a test server, I'm pretty sure what it is you are allowed to use. You have every single part in the game with unlimited use, I think, or maybe it's like 2 or 4 when it comes to like weapon sets. I don't know, but you have use of every single part, weapon and movement part and this and that, and you can basically build unlimitedly with whatever. Pretty cool. It says, after logging into the server, the transfer progress from your account, press escape and key to select copy account data. Please note the schedule for the test server. So these are the days that it's available. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So we have a weekend, which it's already done with. Yeah. Hence my video being old news. Any progress that you make on the test server will not be transferred to in-game servers, including attempts to buy packs. Don't buy packs in these test servers, guys. It's not going to get you anything. Public test servers are intended only for testing in the upcoming update and may not accommodate all players without exception. However, absolutely anyone can join the test server as long as there are free spots. Okay, so there you have it. Limited placement. So those are our balance changes. I don't agree with all of them. Some of them I'm more excited for than others. My precious Garrity legs, because I'm a spider guy. I have everything else, I just don't use everything else. So there we have it. I won't yap any longer because I'm already at 33 minutes. So those of you who stick with me till the end of the video, thank you. If you like to just listen to it, like kind of like an audible, that's cool too. That's why I read everything. But I'll see you guys in the next video. Yeah. Goodbye.